With the state legislature officially in session, lawmakers are beginning to dig into the workload before them. Committee meetings, votes, hearings, and wading through a record number of bills. ONR's Bob Sands spoke with Shawn Ashley of eCapitol about the session's opening week.
Okay, we're in the opening days of the legislative session. We're already hearing about tax cuts. We're hearing rumblings from all the sides, all the angles. What's your take on the prospects for a tax cut, income tax cut this year?
I would actually be surprised if we did not do a tax cut this year. Now, unlike last year where we had this very large program proposed where we were essentially going to phase out the income tax over time, I don't think that is what's going to happen this year. What I think will happen is that we'll see something along the lines of a 0.25% cut, something more like what we've done in the past.
On the top end?
Yes, on the top end. Currently that rate is 5.25%. I suspect it'll come down to 5% for the next tax year.
Because we're already hearing Republicans in the Senate saying, well, we'll do something, but it may not be quite what the governor had in mind. So when you hear that kind of uncertainty sneaking in early, it's like...
Yeah, and the one thing they have to do, which everyone seems to be committed to, is what they call funding core government services. Now, the dispute is always what those core government services are. How important is education and how much additional funding should they get? How important is the Department of Corrections and how much more funding should they get? So there's that back and forth, and then sort of worked into all that mix is the tax cut and how big or how small it will be.
Any talk of offsets yet? Now, David Dank has come out already talking about a 2-year program to really make sure we're giving good tax cuts, they're producing results. Do you see offsets coming?
Probably not this year. Representative Dank has worked for 2 years looking at the various tax credits, deductions, and exemptions. And I think one of the final outcomes of his work is going to be exactly what you say, is that we begin a process of analyzing those tax cuts to see if they are in fact beneficial, those tax credits. Does it really help grow the Oklahoma economy to give this business or that business a particular break in its taxes? I don't think right now those will be used to offset the revenue loss from any tax cut that's adopted this year. But I think down the line what you could see are some of those tax credits, deductions, and exemptions being tested to see if they work, and if they're not working, eliminate it.
Get rid of them. That's what Mary Fallon, the governor, has said from the very beginning. If they don't work, get rid of them. Yes,
and of course the difficult thing about that is, though, as Sean Burridge pointed out from the Senate, the Senate minority leader, tax credits seem to be alive. They hire lobbyists. They want to be defended. They want to keep their jobs. There's a constituency for tax credits. Those credits are there for some sort of reason. Some business believed it would be beneficial to them, and they convinced the legislature to approve that credit. And anytime you talk about eliminating those, their supporters come out to say, no, don't eliminate us. Look at some other guy instead.
Okay, the funding increases. We have some proposed. We're almost out of time, so let's talk quickly about winners and losers there.
Well, one of the big winners, of course, is the Oklahoma Health Care Authority. The governor proposed an additional $40 million for that agency, and there were a total of $120 million of increases in her budget. Some of the losers, on the other hand, though, are the Department of Corrections, who's looking at a $1 million increase for the next fiscal year, but more importantly, did not receive a recommendation for a supplemental appropriation. The agency says if they don't receive a supplemental by June 30th, the end of this fiscal year, that they will in fact run out of money, and that inmates currently in county jails destined for the Department of Corrections will be stuck there, and the state will not be able to pay those county jails for housing those inmates.
Shawn Ashley with eCapitol. We'll have you back several more times here as the legislative session progresses for the next
I look forward
months.
to it.
Thank you.